Welcome, everybody. My name is Abby. I'm the manager here at Cisco Home Brentwood, and we're delighted to have you joining us today for the panel. Really is a wonderful turnout, and we're so appreciative that you were able to join us. We've been making furniture here in Los Angeles for over 20 years. Everything we do is made here in LA. It's all sustainable, and we look forward to hearing what the panel has to say. I'm delighted to introduce Barbra Stover. She is a California native who has been a real estate professional working with buyers and sellers in residential and income properties, focusing on the West Side, beach cities, and the San Fernando Valley. She began her real estate career in 2001 when she made Rookie of the Year at Coldwell Banker and then continued in 2008 to Rodeo Realty. Barbra has found a true passion for helping her clients through the exciting yet stressful process of buying and renting. She loves feeling the joy. She takes you through the whole process, beginning to end. Barbra has a true way of connecting with people, which you can see on upcoming episodes of Selling LA and $1 Million Listing LA. Not only is she a genuine people person, Barbra is also a volunteer board member for Face Forward, an organization who helps battered women. Lastly, Barbra understands that this is a life-changing experience. And when you work with Barbra, you will not only gain an experienced and knowledgeable real estate agent, but you'll gain a lifelong friend. So, welcome, Barbra.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you. I want to say thank you, Cisco Home, for having us hosting this wonderful event. And thank you, Abby, thank you just so much. You've been wonderful. And I thank all of you for attending and just, our discussion on how to create your dream home without losing your mind and losing your wallet. So the panelists and myself are offering each of you a free half-hour consultation just to say thank you for attending. So now, without further ado, I've always wanted to say that. Now let me begin introducing you to our wonderful panelists, PK Odle, and I am going to let you know what PK is all about. Since 1997, PK Odle, founder of the Feng Shui Advantage, has shown her clients how to maximize the existing Feng Shui influences in their homes and workplaces to increase their productivity and prosperity while improving their health and relationships. PK works with clients either on-site or remotely worldwide. As an internationally respected instructor for the American Feng Shui Institute since 1998. PK teaches classes for Larry Sang, who is the Feng Shui master chosen to work on the Beijing Olympic sites and most Las Vegas casinos. Wow. She's the author of the one-of-a-kind Personal Direction Self-Mastery Toolbox and publisher of the award-winning Feng Shui Advantage Monthly. Yay, thank you. And the next panelist, wonderful architect Richard Blumenberg, not Bloomberg. You could ask him what's going on with the finances here. Blumenberg. Richard Blumenberg is an award-winning lead accredited professional architect founded RLB Architecture in 1997 and specializes in high-quality custom residential architecture for both new homes and renovations. During his 30 years of practice, he has designed over 200 richly detailed residences in a variety of architectural styles. Richard's projects range from a luxurious master suite to a whole house remodel with extensive additions to newly built homes over 10,000 square feet. His diverse range of clients appreciate his attention to detail and direct personal service. He is also the consulting architect for 4 homeowner associations in Los Angeles. That's pretty good. His work has been published in Lux, House and Garden, California Homes, Los Angeles Homes and Decor, as well as the Los Angeles Home Book. And our next panelist is Beth Devemont with Devemont Design Group. Beth Devemont of Devemont Design Group is a long-standing member of the American Society of Interior Design and a top professional interior design talent. She has been producing unique, affordable, and livable designs for over 20 years. Residential projects range from small and large updates to kitchen and bath remodel for homes, condos, and vacation homes. Commercially, she has designed professional offices and judges' chambers. Wow, be careful around her. She works in all styles, and her work is recognizable as today yet classic. Beth is a graduate of the program of Environmental and Interior Design at UCLA. She received special recognition from the City of Beverly Hills for her room at the Greystone Mansion Showcase House, Beth is also a published designer and has been featured in spectacular homes of California and luxury kitchen and baths. Wow. It goes without saying that her work is beautiful, but because Beth is a professional, working with her saves her clients time, money, and stress. And we don't want stress. That's no. Okay, now we have David. David Keeton, our, what is he? Contractor. David Keeton is the owner of DC Keeton Home Improvements. He has been remodeling homes throughout the greater Los Angeles area for the past 24 years. Previous careers in business, acting, producing, and garment manufacturing have all contributed to David's success as a contractor. He has top-notch references from both customers and vendors, concise and detailed contracts. He oversees projects personally, has a positive, high-energy personality. He really does. You should have seen him trying to organize this event. I'm sorry, I just had to throw that in. Whew, it's hot in here. And has creative problem resolutions. David is a member of the West Los Angeles and Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, where he serves as board member of the Chamber's Foundation. He also is on the Leadership Council for the world-renowned nonprofit Heifer International, known as the contractor you will still like at the end of the job. Oh, are you sure about that? David, one of the most established and reliable remodeling contractors in Los Angeles, in 2013, he was awarded Angie's List Super Service Award for kitchen and bath remodeling. And there you have it. There's our, yeah, and there you have it. So what we have is we have group questions for our panelists. And we're going to start with PK. Okay. Share with the audience 1 or 2 crucial things they should do to ensure a successful remodeling and furnishing project.
First off, I would say to avoid certain elements in your design. Could be the actual elements or the colors of those elements, because they will be affecting the feng shui energies of your home and could actually trigger problems with your health, your relationships, or your finances. For instance, fire colors, that's any shades of red or purple, should be avoided except for as accessories where you know they're going to be helping you with the energy combinations instead of triggering things like stomach, abdominal, reproductive organ problems, relationship problems, everything from arguments to separation and divorce. So it can also cause legal problems, and it can cause many other problems. So fire colors can either be helping you or hurting you. So be careful where you put those in your design. Also, outdoor water fountains. If you're designing to add a fountain or a swimming pool outside, avoid the northeast in this current time period because that will reduce your prosperity. However, if you're thinking about putting in the east or the southwest, that will actually enhance your prosperity. Now, this is outside. Inside, if you choose to put water features, you need to know what the energy combinations are, because the water features could actually bring you gossip, arguments, and legal problems, and who needs those? The other thing is exposed beams. Some people like them, but see this beam up here? If someone's sitting directly under it, they could be getting a direct hit of chi. However, this beam is like an I-beam, so it's actually deflecting the chi because it has that part that sticks out at the bottom. Over there against the wall, you people sitting next to the wall, you're getting chopped around your thighs area. So imagine your headboard against there. What part of your body's going to get chopped? That's going to cause major health problems. I call that type of a ceiling a coffin ceiling because it's going to affect your heart and lungs. And if you have those in your home, talk to me during the reception, and I'll give you some easy remedies for that.
Great. Thank you, PK. Okay, Richard, how would you answer that question?
I would say that if you have a budget, you need to tell your architect and interior designer what your budget is before the project starts. Otherwise, what will happen is that you'll go out to bid, everything will be ready to start, and you'll find out it's more expensive than you want to spend. And by that time, you'll love the house, you won't want to give up anything, and you'll have a real problem. The other thing that is really good is the other thing that you need to do is you need to make decisions in a timely manner. There's an abundance of decisions that you'll have to make in a project. from all the finishes in the house, how they're laid out, wood floors, appliances, plumbing fixtures. And you have to decide if you have the will to make all the decisions. And because if you don't, you're going to hold up the project. So that's really an important thing.
Okay, thank you. Beth, share with the audience one or two crucial things they would do to ensure a successful remodeling and furnishing project.
So now you're going to see how aligned Richard and I are as design professionals. I would say after building a professional team to help you, the most important thing is to do the pre-planning. You've hired somebody to give you a design, and without the design, you have absolutely nothing. So here's where you want to spend your time to think things out, to do some initial problem solving, and to get all of your products and materials in place. And when you do, then you can give a complete list to the contractor, and he can bid and give you quite an accurate, he'll come back with a very accurate bid, so you will know where you are. It will help you manage your budget. It also, if he has a complete list of things that you're doing, he can start the project and run straight through with a minimum of delays and other things, which of course will save you money and headache. So the other thing is I want to talk more about budget. This is so important. You really need to be honest with yourself, and you need to be about how much you'll spend on this project to improve your home, and you need to be honest with your designer. And the reason is that we design to your budget. If you give us a moderate budget, we will give you a Honda. If you give us a more ample budget, we will give you a BMW. In either case, you are getting a beautiful design, but you have to give us a direction.
Wow, we're going to get some cars, everybody. So. Yes, David, Nell.
Giving away cars.
David, can you top that?
Okay, first of all, don't hire an unlicensed contractor. Number two, don't hire a contractor without first shopping around. Number three, don't act as your own contractor. This is like a doctor operating on himself. Okay?
Yeah.
And when requesting bids, provide all contractors with the same set of accurate plans or drawings. So it's apples to apples, not apples to oranges when you're comparing pricing. And make sure that everything you and your contractor have agreed to is included in your contract, and don't sign anything unless you understand it completely and thoroughly and agree with it as well.
Well, great. Thank you very much. So we're going to have question number 2. What is the value of creating a design-build team at the beginning of your project? PK?
Well, as far as the feng shui aspects of a remodel goes, you would be able to find out what directions to avoid digging or construction in each year to make sure you don't have health problems because of that. This current year, the directions would be all 3 directions with the word east in it. That would be southeast, northeast, east, and also northwest. If you have to do construction in that area, or if your neighbors are re-roofing towards the east side of your house, put metal between your house and theirs. That can be a vehicle parked there, it can be an uncovered barbecue, or it could be a vehicle parked there, because that will protect your health. If there must be construction, you can't stop your neighbors from re-roofing. But if you're doing construction in those areas of your home, it could affect your health negatively, especially southeast for any pregnant women this year. Do not do any construction in the southeast of your home. Also, you want to be able to work well with your team, especially the architect and the interior designer if you choose to add feng shui to the mix, because we will be working together throughout the project to help you make the best decisions. And some people have asked landscapers, well, when is the best time to plant a tree? And usually their answer is, well, really the best time was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. If somebody asked me when was the best time to feng shui their home, I'd have to give them the same answer.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Richard, and then after Richard, I'll repeat the question again.
What you get with a design build team is you get a group of individuals who are committed to work together for the better of the project. And as a result of that, because you have their knowledge all the way through, you'll have the minimum of changes. Quite often, you'll hire an architect and then later down the line bring an interior designer in. And the interior designer may have ideas, which would mean massive changes to the drawings. So it's better to know that up front so everything is done. The other thing that's really a great thing is when you have a contractor on board, you can establish a budget for the project. And as you're making decisions on which item to choose in the design, the contractor can price it out. So you really get the best dollar for your value. And that's really the best thing for the project.
Great, thank you, Richard. Okay, I'm going to repeat the question. What is the value of creating a design build team at the beginning of your project? Beth?
I think this is so important and this is crucial because any project has different kinds of expertise that have to weigh in. And when they are on the same page and when they are communicating and problem solving from the beginning, it goes so much better. And I just would, wanted to give you an example is that I may want to do a powder room and I may want to do sconces and I may want a mirror on the wall. The architect really can't locate the sconces until he knows two things. He has to know what size the mirror is, so we know how far on either side to put the sconce, and he really has to know the kind of sconce that I have that you have selected as my client. And the reason for that is in the back side of the sconce is the electrical outlet, and it's not in the same place every time. So you need to coordinate where the outlet comes from the wall with where the outlet is in the light, and you need to be able to locate the light at about 5.5 feet off the ground so it's at eye level. So these are just an example of some things that you need to work back and forth with on. Very small example, but very important.
Thank you, Beth. Okay, David, how would you like to answer that?
As a contractor who's worked with many designers and architects, there's always egos. And sometimes those egos are really huge. And not only the designers, architects, and the Feng Shui, but the homeowners' egos, and of course, mine as well. You need to get past the egos and work with those that you can trust and respect. And of course, this is a two-way street as well. The designers, the architects, the Feng Shui, and the contractors must respect the client's wishes. And if not, there will only be bruised egos, chaos, and a disaster in the making. So thus the hiring and vetting of a design and build team, you will discover just who you can and cannot work with. It's best to find this team before taking a hammer to the first wall.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our third question. Briefly describe the services you provide to your clients. PK.
Well, as a classically trained Feng Shui consultant and instructor, I analyze the 5 levels of Feng Shui. This is the I Ching Feng Shui that came from the same place that acupuncture came from, a book called the I Ching. And they have a similar 5,000-year history of improving people's lives. The first is form school, the things that you can see with your eyes, such as the beams and the overhangs and the angles pointing at you. The second one is the 8 trigrams from the I Ching. Each one of you is born into one of those trigrams. It will dictate what 4 directions are best for you to sleep in, which way your crown points. How many of you have babies that will turn in their crib and you're wondering, why do they keep turning this other direction? As soon as they're old enough, they will turn to a direction that actually makes them feel good. It's one of their supportive sleeping directions. The other is the energy grid. Every house is divided into 9 equal grids. If you look at your fingers, there's 9 sections there. The ancient masters did their calculations up inside their great big sleeves out of sight. So no one knew that Feng Shui was a mathematical system of calculating the energies to determine where you need the 5 elements as the remedies. And the other is the annual or cyclical influences on those energies, which is why one year can be better or worse in the same house with the same decor and the same occupants. Speaking of occupants, there are also annual and personal 15-degree directions. These are ones that barely 5% of Feng Shui people in the entire world can tell you where those directions are. I not only show you on your home where they are and what's triggering them, the good ones and the bad ones, but I give you a diagram that you can use for your entire life if you decide to retire in Bali, or if you want to give them to your children to pick their first dorm room till their retirement home.
Great, thank you, PK. Richard, how would you answer that question?
Well, first I meet with the client and talk about their wish list. And that's the things that must be included in the project and the things that they like to have if possible. Then we go through books and magazines to look at pictures to determine the styles and the features that they like. Then I research code and any homeowners association regulations. And then I meet frequently with the homeowner to discuss the design. If the budget is a concern, at the end of the preliminary design phase, we get bids from a contractor to get a ballpark budget for the project, to make sure that it's in budget before we proceed in the working drawings. The working drawings are the documents that allow the contractor to build a project. It includes cabinet drawings that show what the cabinets look like, different kinds of construction details, and the structural engineering. After those are done, we go out to bid. And usually what I'll do is I'll, on the bids, create a spreadsheet and compare the bids item by item to see if a contractor has missed anything or it's really out of whack, either high or low. And we discuss those things before the contract is signed. We also handle running the project through the building department and get the permits ready to pull. And during construction, I'll come out once a week to make sure that the contractor is building the project per the construction documents and answer any questions. And if there is any work that's done that's not up to the standard of quality that's been specified, then the contractor will have to redo it.
Great. Thank you, Richard. I'll repeat the question. Briefly describe the services you provide to your clients. Beth.
Okay. I provide two basic services to my client. One is I create the design and follow it through to the very end so that it is actually what you want. And two is I buy products that I choose and you choose that will support and bring the design to life. And within those two broad areas, there are many, many, many services. So I'm just going to tell you a few. I first start all my projects with a lot of questions and listening carefully. And once I have enough to go on, I start doing the design. Here's where the ideas come from. Here's where the creativity comes from that you are actually paying for. Then I give you a presentation with options and with a cost list of the things that I will be buying for the project. And you make your decisions. You choose which of the things I've brought to you you want, and you develop your own budget. Once everything is agreed, I make a list of specifications, which is really just the products that I'm selling you. It's where the colors go on the wall. It's what kind of wallpaper I want, where it goes, how I want the floor tile laid. So it's a very descriptive thing of all the things that I'm taking care of as the interior designer and who is the interior design director for the project. And then the information on the designs are translated into working drawings that the contractor can bid from. And then I stay with the job all the way to the end, making sure that and following up on everything and making sure that it's exactly what you want until the last painting is hung on the wall.
Great, thank you. Okay, David.
When I started my company 24 years ago, I never wanted jack of all trades. I wanted specialists in each area. So what I'm bringing to your house is an experienced, licensed, and bonded carpenter, an experienced, licensed, and bonded plumber, a licensed, experienced, and bonded electrician, a licensed, experienced, and bonded roofer, a licensed, experienced, and bonded hardwood floor person, and on and on. It took me a number of years to put together the right team, and because I do have the right people for the job, one can rest assured that the project will be done correctly, on time, and within budget. This is the beauty of hiring a licensed general contractor. He has the right people, he oversees the production and the quality control. Plus, you only have to deal with one person, not 6 or 7 tradesmen. Please know that contractors, what we do is we take our bids from our individual subs, put them all together, and we add 20% on top of that. That 20% that you're paying is for me knowing the right people, for overseeing the job so that you can go and make some money at your job and not worry about what's going on in your house so that you can pay me and I can pay them and they can feed their families and so on. It's the American economy, right? So, but that's what you're paying a contractor for. That's why I say don't act as your own contractor. The last thing you want to do is come home and find that the tile that was supposed to go in the master is now in the guest bathroom. All right? Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. Okay, our last question before we get into the next individual questions. What advice, PK, would you give the audience about choosing someone in your field?
Speaking of the licensed, there are no Feng Shui license. If someone says they are a certified Feng Shui consultant, they have just been certified through whatever method they have been taught by whatever school they have gone to. Feng Shui is an ancient science, and there are a lot of methods that have sprung up in the last 30 years. If you want the real Feng Shui, if you want the actual energy combinations in your home and all the other 5 levels I described, then you want to check and make sure, have they been trained in classical Feng Shui that uses those levels that I was talking about earlier, and verify their credentials with whatever school they say that they have studied with. Check how many years they've been doing Feng Shui and if they've been doing it full time during that time. If they dabble in it on the weekends for their friends, you may not want to hire them to tell you how to improve your health and relationships and your finances for your family.
Great, thank you. Richard, how would you answer that?
Basically, you need to look at their portfolio and go through houses they've done to see if they're doing a style that's similar to what you want. And also, you need to talk to their references to see how they've worked with them, to see if they would be a good fit for you. And also, a very important thing is to make sure that the person that you're hiring is the person that's going to be doing the work on your project. Quite often, an architect is a salesman, and then once they get the job, you'll be assigned to the draftsperson, and that's all you'll deal with on the job. So make sure that the person who you're hiring is the one that's working on the project.
Great answer. Okay, Beth, I'll repeat the question. What advice would you give the audience about choosing someone in your field?
Okay, so beyond the basics of, is this person experienced? Do they have good references? Is their portfolio, do they have a portfolio? Are they licensed? Are they insured? Are they bonded? Any of those kinds of questions. You need to be able to separate out all those people that fit into those categories to find the ones that you really want to work with. And I would say to look for someone that you can communicate with, someone you feel who will be in your corner and will fight for you like a friend would fight with, someone who will listen to you, and also someone whose design style you resonate with. And this is very important. It's not that you don't look to see that they've done a style that you want. You look to see if there's a quality about their design that resonates with you. And this is because any good designer should be able to design in every style. And the reason for this is that designing, when you think of a designer, you're thinking only of the visual. There's a lot that goes on underneath. The visual are just the clothes that go on the skeleton. So you want to make sure that the person knows how to build the skeleton and then knows the vocabulary of the dressing.
Thank you. Okay, David?
I can't say this any more strongly. Listen to your intuition.
Wow.
Listen to your heart. Listen to your soul. You will know who the right person is. The right contractor, the right architect, the right designer, the right Feng Shui person. You will know. If you and this goes for life. If you have to talk yourself into something, it's wrong. Now, it may be the most expensive contractor. It may be the least expensive. It may be the person in the middle, but you will know who that is. And on another note, if you cannot do the project the way you really would love to have it done due to a lack of funds, wait until you have the money to do it the way you want to. Because every time you walk into this kitchen, every time you walk into the bathroom, every time you walk into that addition, and something is not done the way you really wanted it done, it's gonna piss you off. You're gonna get upset every time. So if you don't have the money now, wait for 6 months and do it then. So when you do have the money, that's because every time I've seen it happen again and again. I go back to clients, oh, I wish I had bought that faucet. It was only $300 more, but they said, oh, I need to cut my budget, and that's what they start doing. But wait until you have ample funds to do exactly what you want to do.
Great, thank you. So our next set of questions, well, I'll do the 3. Okay, for PK, do all buildings already have Feng Shui?
Yes, all buildings already have Feng Shui energies in them. This room has Feng Shui energy in it. As soon as the 4 walls go up and the roof goes in, the energies are captured. Sort of like the DNA in your body. You didn't know you had it for decades, and only in the last few decades did they even know we had DNA in our body. But there has been energies in your buildings from the dawn of time. The Chinese figured out over 5,000 years ago how to calculate those energies and how to remedy them using the 5 elements. And in each section of that 9-section grid I talked about, is an energy that relates to your health and relationships, and one that relates to your finances and career. And there's also a house type, which is how many of you know of a restaurant or a retail store in your neighborhood that every 6 months to a year, it's another business in there. And that's because that building has a major feng shui problem because of its house type, and you can't make money in that building. So before you open a business there or you let a friend or family member do it, have the building checked out to see if even you can do the remedy to be able to be profitable in that building.
Okay. And the next question, can Feng Shui remedies really blend with any decor?
Yes, because you're using the 5 elements, doing those calculations and applying it to the house for each year, depending on the annual energies that are visiting, that are combining with those people and money energies. You can tell where you can have fire colors. That would be beautiful accessories of red or purple. I never tell anyone to paint a wall fire colored or a door, because 2 out of 9 years that fire colors is going to cause you problems. The best door color is a beautiful wood grain door. And the way that you would choose your remedies is you would be told you need earthen objects over here, a certain amount because of the size of your house. Then you would go to your designer and say, what can we incorporate in here that's earthen, that maybe I can move to another room that would blend with the decor throughout my home. If it's a metal object, if it's going to be there all the time, I will tell you always. So you could incorporate a piece of furniture. If it's going to be a temporary metal, you could use a piece of art and move it around. In ancient China, when people needed metal, they would just say, hang a mirror there, because the mirrors were not made of glass. They were made of thick pieces of highly polished metal. And that is the most used remedy. With wood, it's not the furniture, it's live plants with the green leaves. Water fountains or fish tanks are what we use to represent water. For fire, we actually use the colors because it's the only safe way to do that.
Okay, and one more question for PK. How does a person's date of birth and gender factor into Feng Shui?
Well, according to your date of birth, you have that trigram direction. So during our half-hour consultation, I'll be happy to tell you your trigram direction, email you that so you'll have it for always, and what colors are best for your wardrobe, what's your best sleeping direction, what direction you need to have clutter-free to avoid financial problems, health problems, relationship problems. But the 15-degree directions, that's what sets me apart from other consultants. I can tell you what house orientation or door location is going to bring you money versus make you spend money. Also, what year, month, and days you'll do the same, either spend money or make money. Also, what directions bring you, for instance, a door in a direction that could bring you friends that support you versus backstabbers. What direction supports your creative mind for your creative work? If you're writing a play or a movie or an article, write it in your creative direction. Turn to your analytical to edit it and get the editing job done. I actually have an article on my table along with several other articles about 4 children with attention deficit, how all their grades improved when they just started sitting in their intellect direction to do their homework. Their mother was so excited, she says, and the bonus is I don't have to babysit them as much while they're doing their homework. So there's many of these 15-degree directions that I'll be happy to talk to you about. But this year in the Northwest and the Northeast, no one wants thorns in their yards or cracks or broken things in their house or in their yards, because that can cause either bleeding or relationship problems.
Thank you, PK. Okay, so now we go to Richard. How does an architect help to protect an owner during construction?
Well, the most important thing that I do is I create very complete drawings and specs that cover all aspects of the new house or remodel so that the contractor knows exactly what he needs to build and there's no guesswork. The other thing that I do is I also review the contractor's agreement to make sure that his payment schedule is fair to the owner and the contractor. And I establish a payment methodology in the project. We also, in the payment process, we make sure that any time a payment is made, that all the lien releases are given before the next payment is due. And what a lien is a contractor or a material supplier would have has the ability to put a lien on your house, regardless of whether or not you pay the contractor. So in order for them to have that right, they have to send you what's called a preliminary 20-day notice. And that's a way of notifying you that they are doing work on the project. And that's why when we approve a payment and the contractor wants his next payment, we make sure that the lien releases are provided so that you're protected with that payment. The other thing that I do is I observe the work once a week to make sure that the project is built right, and I work with the contractor to resolve any questions.
Great, thank you. Okay, one more question for you here. What are the new green requirements for a house that are now required by law?
The old days when you could take a house and demo it and throw it in a dumpster are over. Now what you have to do is you have to recycle or reuse 50% of any demolition product. You also, there's conservation for water and electricity. For power, you have to have all your equipment and appliances Energy Star rated. And for plumbing, you have to reduce the water consumption by 20%. And you do that by either low-flow toilets, faucets. When you have your irrigation system, you have to use controllers that have either sensors in the ground that measure the moisture in the ground, or rain data, so that the sprinklers will not be used in the rain. The other thing is that all the different fumes of materials that used to make people sick have been basically curtailed. Among them, there's VOC limits in carpet, resilient floors, all paints and coatings now. And also, there's no formaldehyde allowed in plywood or wood products. The other thing that's new, which I'm sure people will not be happy about, is that wood-burning fireplaces are no longer allowed in residential. And the AQMD has determined that they're polluting. So not only do you have to use a gas fireplace, but you also have to have a fixed piece of glass at the fireplace opening. And so there's no way that anyone can cheat and burn wood if they wanted to, which is what a lot of people did in the past, by the way.
Wow.
The other thing that in a new house or major remodel, you now have to put an outlet in the garage for an electric vehicle, and you have to show at least 250 square feet of your roof area and pre-wire for a solar electric system.
Great, thank you, Richard. Okay, so Beth, we have a group of questions for you. What role do furnishings play in a remodel, and why is it important to have an interior designer involved from the very beginning?
I think that furnishings are absolutely integral to a remodel from a couple points of view. One thing is that you need to plan for them, because you have to ask yourself the question, why are you really doing this? You're doing this to get a home that feels better, that functions better, and looks more beautiful than in the past. If you don't do the furnishing, I think that you've done half the job. You're sitting there in a beautiful box, and you don't have the things that bring it to life. You don't have the things that really bring the feeling that you're looking for. So that's one reason why I think you need to plan for furniture in the beginning, and furnishings as well, and that you need to set aside a budget for that. The other reason is probably a little bit more practical in a way, is when you start a project, I'll look over the plans, and I need to make sure that the room shapes are the right size. You may have told me 4 or 5 pieces of furniture that you want to retain. I need to make sure that those pieces fit in. And also, if you want something floating instead of against the wall, I need to make sure that the lighting is right. I need to tell Richard and say, Richard, do you mind doing some overhead lighting here? And you know what? I think we're going to need a floor outlet. So those are some of the reasons why at the very beginning, because the planning is so important. That's where you save yourself the headaches and the money and the stress. Plan for this as well in the beginning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, another question for Beth. How does a designer's knowledge of trends save clients money, time, and headaches?
Okay, and I wanted to add sustainable into this because we promised this to you in our publicity. First of all, let's talk about sustainable, which is really an interesting subject, and we are in a sustainable store. When a designer is looking for product or looking for materials to use in an environment, they're looking for sustainable products, and they're asking themselves some questions like this. How will this help the health of the planet? How will this product contribute to the health of the people living in it? How will this product affect the people from where you get the product? So those are some of the questions that you want to ask yourself. And actually, doing green is very much easier than you can imagine. All the metals, anything that is long-lasting is green, like the metals. Anything that is recyclable is green. Wood is recyclable. Glass is recyclable. Anything that is from a renewable source, we think of bamboo. That's been sort of the poster child of this era. But also there's silk, there's wool, there's hemp. There's a lot of other materials. So there's a lot of materials out there. And there's a lot of things that you can do with furniture. You can make sure that the wood that the furniture is made of comes from forests that are also managed. That means that they're watched from the beginning of when the seedlings start all the way through, so that our forests are not depleted, and we can at least keep the problems with our atmosphere at bay. So that's one thing. And then the other thing about trends. Now, trends are really interesting. Trends are just, so I wanted to go back. I see myself as the art director or the artistic director of the interior. And as any artist, I need to know the mediums that I'm using. And trends are just part of the vocabulary of style. They're the newest installment in style. And a designer has to be very skilled in how to use them, where to use them, how much to use them. You may have a client that wants the hottest, the latest, the greatest. You need to be able to do that for them, but skillfully, or you're getting mush. You may have a client that wants a traditional style, but they want to feel like it's today. So you need to know just how much to buy and suggest of things that are on trend. And the other thing is knowing trends and being able to work with them in a very skillful manner is a way also for your clients to stay on budget. Remember, part of my job is the eye that I bring to the job. I can take a high-end product and I can take a low-end product and manage your budget and make it all look like it's today. So those are the things that I wanted to share with you about sustainable and style.
Great, thank you. Well, you answered the last question about sustainable. So now we go to David. Last but not least, of course. Okay, David, how does one go about finding a contractor, and a good one at that?
Well, ask your friends, ask your coworkers, ask business associates, ask your neighbors who you've seen remodeled. Go and knock on their door. People love to show you their houses, particularly if it turned out well. You know, you'll find out from those folks who they used as a contractor and whether they were satisfied with them or not. Angie's List. Now, if you go to Angie's List, you'll find me on the first page, by the way, okay? All right, but Angie's List is a great source for not only contractors, but for other professions also. $39 a month, I mean, a year, and it's well worth it. And after you've met a contractor, check out his references, or hers, and ask if you can possibly see some current projects. I always feel funny about asking people, oh, can I bring some strangers into your house? But if you act to see, because I'm doing like 5, 6 jobs at a time, and sometimes I have keys to the house, I will take people there after I ask the people. But ask the contractor that you're considering where he or she buys their products. In other words, who their vendors are. Go to that store and check out the store. Not only will you get a chance to find out about the contractor, but you'll also see the type of products that are in that store. And you'll get another feel for what level of this contractor is, what level he's at. Is he at the really high end, middle, or is he buying things at Home Depot off the $10.95, blue light special shelf? So, and I give my clients, when I go to see clients, potential clients, I give them a shopping list. I give them places to go shopping, because I've done this so long that I know every place in town that you can get for the best prices for a good quality product. So they go to these stores and they see the level of contractor that I'm at. But you actually have to go to the store. Don't call somebody on the phone. You actually have to go there. So it serves as a double positive. There we go. You get to see the products, you get to shop, and you find out about a potential contractor.
Okay, thank you. And 2 more questions for you, and then we're going to collect the Q&A. Collect the panel discussion. Number 2, can you briefly tell the audience just what goes into a kitchen remodel and what trades are involved?
I'll try to keep it brief. A kitchen is the biggest thing you're going to remodel in your home. A kitchen costs anywhere from 10 to 15% of the value of your home. So if it's a $600,000 home, it's a $60,000 kitchen at minimum. If it's $1.1 million, you can do a $60,000 kitchen, and it comes down lower as far as the percentage goes, and still make it look nice. But that's about what a kitchen goes for. After you've done your due diligence with your Feng Shui, with your architect, with your interior designer, you will need to deal with the fact that your kitchen is going to be out of commission for 60 days. It takes that long to do a kitchen. If your contractor tells you it's going to take longer than that, you might want to reconsider, because it shouldn't take that longer, any longer than 60 days to do a quality job on a kitchen, as long as everything is there. That's another important thing. If you want to make sure that you have everything there or it's on its way. There's nothing worse than stopping for a week waiting for the tile to show up. It's not only delays the job, but it hurts the contractor because he has other things going on, and it messes up his schedule as well. So first is the demo, and lots of times, and that's always fun. I always give my clients the chance to swing the first hammer, so they can get that frustration out that they've been wanting to fix this kitchen for 24 years. And lots of times there's internal damage, particularly in kitchens and bathrooms. Water plus wood plus darkness equals. Sometimes mold, but it's termites. Termites love to dance on through. And you'll find them there with their little crystal ball having a party, because they've been there since the 60s. All right? And they've just eaten away at your wood. So be prepared for that. Are there walls to be moved? Are there new walls to be built? New windows, remove the old windows, new doorways. That's where the carpenter comes in. Then you talk to the electrician, and the designer and the architect have already laid out the electrical lights, and you usually wind up moving them 4 or 5 times, I found out over a period of years, because you just don't like quite the way it turned out. And many times you're going to have to upgrade your electrical panel, because to be according to code. A lot of houses in LA only have 100 amps. You need 200 amps, because everything in a kitchen has to be on its own circuit. The refrigerator, the dishwasher, the garbage disposal, the microwave. They didn't know when they were building houses that electricity was going to be so popular. But now everything has to be on its own circuit. So many times you have to spend another $3,500 above and beyond the kitchen to upgrade your electrical panel. And where to put the lights, we talked about that. Then comes the plumber. Do you have galvanized pipes? Well, a lot of homes in LA have galvanized pipes, and so you change them out in the kitchen. Well, let's go ahead and do the whole house. So there's another $2,500 that, to change things out to your plumbing, to copper piping. Then there are repairs to the floors, patching all the holes in the drywall or new drywall. Then comes the installation of the cabinets, fabricating and installation of countertops with undermount sinks, installation of tile for the backsplash, installation of the under cabinet lights and recessed cans, installation of all plumbing fixtures, faucet, garbage disposal, etc., installation of the flooring materials selected, installation of appliances, and you are done. Now, I've done about 75 kitchens, and I had to write this out. You know, I have it in my head, but I didn't want to miss anything. There's a lot that goes into a kitchen remodeling.
Okay, we have to move on to, the last question, and then get ready for your questions for the panelists, and be sure your panel evaluation form is filled out. Okay, this is a good question for you, David. What if there's a disagreement with the contractor? How should this be handled?
This is a business transaction, and you want to treat it like any other business transaction, but even more carefully. These people are in your house. So you want your contractor and the people that work for him or her, you want them to be your friend. You want to be friends with them. You know, even if it's on the outside, you know, and you're boiling on the inside, because you just don't want to have this chaos, this negativity going on with your project, because it'll feed through into the kitchen, into the bathroom, into the addition. It's happened to me before. You want to resolve all issues with diplomacy and respect, if at all possible. If you think you can go to the contractor's board and get things straightened out, good luck, that's a year. And in the meantime, you're sitting without a kitchen. So you need to be able to compromise.
Now we're going to open up the floor for questions to the panelists. So anybody have any questions? Yes, and I'm going to repeat the question. Does the architect pull the permits or the contractor? Question for Richard.
The architect basically gets everything ready to pull a permit. The architect cannot pull a permit. Either the owner or a contractor has to pull the permit, but we get it all ready to pull. Everything, all the corrections done, and then the contractor or the owner pulls the permit.
Great, thank you.
Let me add into that. There's a reason for that, because he's the one that drew the plans. He's the one that had the engineering. I don't know engineering. I know how to make it happen, but I don't know all the ins and outs of it. So once he answers all the building and safety questions with the people downtown or LA County, then I can go there and pull the permits. It's called ready to issue permits. That's what he does. He gets it to that point. And then as a contractor, I pull the permits.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, plan check, yes. But he carries it all the way through the plan check. I go there and write him a check.
And the other thing that the contractor has to provide in pulling the permit, they have to show they have a contractor's license and also workman's comp.
What are the factors in the cosmos that would make things change from one year to another?
So the feng shui changes
changes.
annually?
Yeah, why the
Okay.
feng shui changes
Why
annually.
does it, yes.
There are certain energy combinations that switch in different directions each year. For instance, this year, the Southwest has an energy, if you have fire colors with it especially, you're going to have stomach, abdominal, digestive, reproductive organ problems, even things like miscarriages. So in the Southwest, no one this year should have fire colors, but maybe next year, because of the visiting energy, you'll be able to have fire colors in there for that year. Maybe that will actually help you. And then next year, it's going to be the East, where no one should have fire colors. But that's because the universe is constantly changing. The I Ching is called the Book of Change. It means the universe is constantly changing, constantly shifting. Anyone thinks that they can just go in and put store-bought feng shui, one-size-fits-all, pre-packaged feng shui remedies into their house and expect to get great results. It would be like everybody in here expecting to take the same vitamins or the same medication and to get the same results. So every building is different, just like every body is different, and each year it's going to have a different influence on you.
Great, thank you.
When does the year start?
Oh, excellent question. It starts on February 4th, which is the Chinese Solar New Year, and that is the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. Feng Shui is based on the movements of the sun.
How do you solve that one for next year?
Okay, how do
Well-
you solve that, putting a pool for next year?
Okay, the swimming pool in the east or the southwest is actually good for the next 10 years. So if you're not planning on being in the house after that, don't worry about it. If you already have a swimming pool in the northeast, just buy a cover for it and keep it covered when it's not in use. Because all the feng shui remedies, whether they be inside or out, have to be where the air currents, the qi that's moving moves with the air currents. That's why feng shui means wind water. So it's the movement of the qi, and if the air currents are touching the water, it's affecting you. Just cover the water in the northeast. If you're planning a large pool and you can put it in the east and the southeast, that's going to be good until 2044. Master's saying they had this family in Brentwood hire him because they thought that their maid had put a curse on him, and they thought feng shui could help relieve this curse. He says, well, it's not a curse, but I can come and find out what's going on. Because they had this produce company that was doing great until they fired this maid, and then their produce company went down. So he went and he feng shuied the house, and he said, you need a huge pool behind your house because your house is not good for making money without water back here. And they said, well, we just had an Olympic-sized swimming pool taken out. Oh, but that was about the same time we fired that maid.
Question is, there's a lot of questions regarding the budget. So how do you establish that? Who would like to answer that?
Well, we can't establish your budget. You have to know how much you want to spend. So that's really the bottom line. I mean, we can, if you tell us a range of costs that you want to be within, we can try and make the plans work within that, but we can't tell you what the budget, except for after the drawings are done.
Well, when I remodel homes, I have a client in this room, I won't mention their name, but they want to spend a certain dollar amount. So we went through their place and looked at it, and the amount of money that he wants to spend is not equal up to what needs to be done. So I'm going back next week, and I'm going to give him other ideas about how to bring his budget down and what are the possibilities that would work to meet his budget. Hopefully we get to that point. So it's a matter of compromise. Okay? All right.
Well, in terms of remodeling and budget, it depends also if you're going to remodel your house to sell or buy something as an investment. So talk to your realtor and find out what minimum items you need. If you want to sell right away, what items you want to do to make money. Because right now it's multiple offers going on everywhere. So talk to your realtor about that as well, and they can help you. That's if you want to sell, even if in a couple of years. I mean, a couple of years the market changes, so it's an investment.
Because if you customize it too much for yourself, you may have spent too much on the remodel that you won't be able to recoup that in the value of the house later because you customized it too much. So it depends on how long you're going to be living there.
Right.
Beth could probably address that more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's absolutely right. If you're going to live there for a long time, you might as well do everything that you want to do. If you think that you're going to sell in a year or two, then you want to be a little bit more conservative, stay with neutral, stay with things that have a broader appeal. But the budget is the question. I think, not David, but Richard's absolutely right. You really have to know kind of what you want, and then Richard and I and David can come back to you and say, yes, that seems like it's reasonable to get all the things you said, or no, maybe you need to change some things, and we'll be happy to work with you until you can get something that really is what you want.
Thank you.
In the go-go days, back about 6-7 years ago, if you did a kitchen and for every dollar you spent, if you sold it the next day after you finished, you got $1.20. Today, you're lucky if you get that dollar. So you want to be careful about what you spend. Now, if you only live there for a year or so, I do something called a fluff and puff. I know how to fluff and puff kitchens and fluff and puff bathrooms to save you money, but yet give you a nice product that looks really, really good. So that's my fluff and puff special. It's a blue light special, table 9.
Is there a certain level of certain dollar amount or work or what?
And the question
Well,
is, do you have to have permits pulled for each item, for each
Well, let's
category?
Richard and I, let's say you and I answer this together, because anything dealing with plumbing, yes. Putting a new water heater in, yes. Anything dealing with electrical, yes. Replacing countertops, no, because it's not a safety thing. If you're replacing a beam in your house that's been termite damaged, yes. If you are, Richard?
Well, actually, the city, as far as the city is concerned, if you spend more than $300, you have to get a permit. So,
But
I mean,
that
it's really a
is the
decision
legal.
whether or not it makes sense to do so.
Great, thank you. Well, What I want to say is thank you, everybody, again for coming, and how to create your dream home from those special professionals, and thank you to the panelists and Cisco for hosting this event. And we're going to, oh, and David Keeton, thank you, it was your idea.